Does anyone remember the grim adventures of Billy and Mandy? Everyone knows Cartoon Network aired some of the best TV shows of all time. Honestly, there's something to admire about a show that can entertain you in your early years as a kid and decades later as an adult. I'd imagine making something engaging for both audiences can be incredibly difficult. So how did they achieve this task? Did they carefully craft every single frame to perfectly suit the positive triggers of the average viewer? Did they crack the complex code that is human psychology? Or did they just make some crazy ass shit and hope people would laugh? All this and more on today's episode of...
Who's that?
Cartoon.
My name is Grimmy, and I've come to reap your immortal soul.
If you haven't guessed by now, we're watching a show called The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. If you watched the show in the past, you know exactly what you're getting yourself into. And if you haven't watched the show in the past, you're probably thinking, what kind of fucking title is that? But good news for all you uncultured folk, because the show is awesome, and we're walking through some of the best it has to offer right about... now. This episode is called Toadblatt's School of Sorcery. Sounds spooky. We start our adventure with our three main characters, Billy, Mandy, and the fucking Grim Reaper. All you really need to know is that Billy is really stupid. Mandy is cold-hearted and kind of cynical, and Grim is like Jamaican, I guess. Sometimes he's happy, sometimes he's mad, sometimes he's just fucking taking a shower. Anyways, it's important to know that these guys are all friends at this point in the story. So Billy and Mandy are a little bummed out because they're getting sent to special types of summer school. Billy being sent to something called Fat Math Camp. What the fuck does that mean? And Mandy is being sent to
Happy Girls Fun Camp of Joy and Niceness.
That's a bummer.
But don't forget, these kiddos are friends with the actual fucking Grim Reaper. Grim does some undead magic thing and switches their pamphlet to a new one, which goes to Toadblatt's Summer School of Sorcery. Anyway, this new pamphlet immediately summons the short bus, so the group gets on it. Anyway, we're at the school now and find out that Billy's nose isn't the only big thing in this cartoon.
What is it now, Miss Largebottom?
The new students have arrived.
I'm gonna hit a homer today.
The new group of students walk into Toadblatt's office where they meet Toadblatt himself. He's basically just like a giant talking wizard toad guy. He's pretty cool. Toadblatt introduces a talking squid to be used as a hat. It's really weird, just go with it. And when you put the squid on your head, he tells you what section of the school you belong in. Please know that this is basically just Hogwarts, except there's deadly monsters, it's for kids, and... yeah, actually, it's basically exactly like Hogwarts.
Put on your squid hat, baby!
What I do like here, though, is the funny house names. Like, Gryffindor is...
Dank.
But of course, this is a cartoon, and there's a problem. And the problem this time around is that Billy just happens to be your average Valorant player.
Wow! Now this one's an empty vessel, if you know what I mean.
Because Valorant players are stupid, that's the joke. The actual problem is that Billy is the first to get put in a different house. This one is called Weaselthorpe. I'm pretty sure it's kind of like the Slytherin of this story. It's like the house that no one really likes, I guess. So much so that Toadblatt himself straight up just says he hates them. Like, doesn't even try to hide it.
I hate Weaselthorpe! Where were we?
So now it's Mandy's turn to get sorted, but the squid is just scared of her, I guess. I would be too. So it places her in Weaselthorpe just like Billy. How cute. Grim, however, is just lucky, I guess, because Toadblatt actually likes him a lot and makes him prefect of Grunder? Gryffindor House. He's the prefect. He's in charge of the Gryffindor House. That's what he... yeah. So Billy and Mandy Slytherin, and Grim is in Gryffindor. There you go. We then cut to Billy and Mandy being introduced to members of their house, which turns out is just filled with Hassan viewers.
Shut the fuck up!
With all seriousness, though, we meet Nigel Planter. He's basically an exact parody of Harry Potter. He's even got this weird scar in the shape of an L. I'm not really sure what it means, but it's probably for you guys if you don't like the video. Like the video, please, or else you take the L. So if you guys have actually never watched Harry Potter, basically each house is awarded points throughout the semester so they can win the house cup at the end of the year. And this cartoon basically does the exact same thing. If you answer a question right in class, you get points. And then at the end of the semester, you could win the house championship. It's the exact same. Nigel explains, though, that Weaselthorpe never wins the championship. So, Mandy shows her true colors and says the only way to win is to sabotage. They're gonna sabotage the other house, essentially. We see Mandy switch some potions around, which causes an explosion. After this, Nigel expresses how sabotage was the best idea he ever had, which, 1, obviously means he's going crazy with power, and 2, it was Mandy's idea, you idiot. We then cut to Toadblatt shining his wizard broom, which is called the Cumulon 6. Toadblatt obviously loves this broom, he kisses it and hangs it on the wall. So obviously Billy and Mandy steal it, they ride it all the way to Toadblatt's headquarters area and drop it in alongside something called a dragon in a can. Oh, which is Gunderstank branded, which is the Gryffindor house, by the way. So he'll know which house did it, I guess. Anyway, the dragon spawns in and the frogman just fucking dies.
Cumulon 6!
He finds the can, so he gets really mad at the Gryffindor house, and then we get this clip.
Oh, I'm brilliant!
Yeah!
So what's important to note here is that Nigel by this point has reached Ted Bundy's level of narcissism. Anyway, Grim starts to suspect something is going on, so he's keeping an eye out. We cut to him on a field trip with his class, but as they're looking around for some endangered species to milk, Billy switches some signs around, which basically say happy good place and not good bad place. How unfortunate. Trying to trick them to go the wrong way. What's funny here is that Grim was actually leading the class into the right direction despite the sign, but Toadblatt notices the sign and basically calls Grim a fucking idiot for going the wrong way, even though it was the right way.
Oh, you're right. Of course I'm right. I'm the dean.
So after all the sabotages, we then cut to the rejects house and find Nigel bragging about how he single-handedly sabotaged the other house, and now they win the house cup. I guess it was just the final day to win this thing. Weaselthorpe's pretty excited, there's a fun party going on, but again, because everyone here is a Hassan viewer, there's questionable music choices. Get it? Because they're old. We get this scene of Nigel and Mandy kind of arguing about the sabotage. Mandy is saying that it was her plan because it was. But Nigel is choosing to be ignorant and not listen to her and insist that it was all his doing. And then we see Toadblatt shows up behind Nigel. So Mandy pulls a 9,000 Mega Brain power level move and gets Nigel to basically self-snitch on himself while the Toad Man is listening. He basically just divulges everything and Toadblatt hears it all. Toadblatt seems angry and Nigel gets hella scared because he thinks he's gonna get expelled. But don't worry, this school's policies aren't that harsh. He doesn't get kicked out or anything. He just gets put in a coliseum in front of all the other students and gets beat to death by a giant one-eyed dwarf. What the fuck?
This is the best summer ever!
And that's the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. It was super fun and kinda short. Listen, I don't usually do this, but since these episodes are only like 7 minutes long sometimes, I'm just gonna look at another episode. Run it back, run it back. This episode is called The Hokemon, which means me having a Pokemon tattoo finally has the meaning I've been looking for. Check it out. Right there. This episode opens up with Billy and his friend Erwin playing a rip-off Pokemon card game. Not really sure why I decided to cover the parody episodes of this video, but yeah. Erwin is one of Billy's closest friends. His whole thing is that he has a crush on Mandy in like a getting dominated way, I think. And he just kind of thinks he's a lot cooler than he actually is. So the boys are playing Pokemon, kinda, but things get heated quickly. And when Grim comes to check what's going on, he finds the cards. Grim finds the whole card game thing kind of silly because it's just these fake monsters printed on a card and not real monsters. He kind of reminds me of every parent ever when you show them a $3,000 inventory in CSGO, but shut up, Derek, because it's only a video game. Go outside for once. It's worth money. It's worth real money. Anyway, Grim does the logical Grim Reaper thing and spices things up by making some of the cards come to life, essentially creating real-life Hokey monsters. Billy and Erwin get really excited by this, like really excited by this. They're like every 11-year-old back in 2018 when Ninja got a massive dub.
I am so good! The fuck you say to me, you little shit?
Grim lets the guys know that these real-life monsters are meant to be played between Billy and Erwin only, and no one else is to know about them. Obviously, Billy is a very intelligent individual. There is zero plausibility that this fine young gentleman will display his outlandish monsters to his community. And then in the next scene, Billy and Erwin show their Hokey monsters to some random dudes in an alley. These random dudes are just some nerds who play this game all the time, so obviously they freak out when they see the real-life monsters. And then all of a sudden, before you know it, there's like an alley full of these kids watching things move around. There's also this weird bit where Billy and Erwin are playing with real monsters against a player who obviously just has regular cards, and then this happens.
Hey! Dude, he's making 2 quads out of my car!
Okay, I don't know, that's funny. So all the kids run after Billy and Erwin so they can get some real monsters of their own. They run to Billy's house, and then Grim eventually notices like a whole Fortnite lobby of children in his front yard. The kids demand some monsters, or else. And Grim, being like the most submissive Grim Reaper of all time, basically just instantly caves and brings everyone's cards to life. What could go wrong? I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, this ends up being like a horrible idea, and all the monsters just start killing each other. They even start attacking the humans, and this obviously causes local panic. Everything's basically gone to shit. But even though we're near the end of the episode now, we finally see Mandy this episode. She's being her usual smart, cynical self. She gets kind of mad that the monsters are making noise, so she decides to basically just Falcon Punch this entire situation right in the dick. She asks Grim to work his magic on just one more card. Mandy goes big brain again and basically just drew her own card and wrote some text saying, "This monster beats all the other monsters." And that just works. I guess. And I don't know why no one else did that. Mandy and her monsters beat the crap out of everything else, and the day is saved. This episode ends with Mandy and her monster sharing an intimate moment in bed together.
No toast in bed.
Sorry. Got milk.
And that's actually the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. Listen, I loved the show as a kid, and I can honestly say that it still holds up as an adult. The comedy has that signature Cartoon Network weirdness to it, which is exactly what I was looking for. If you found these episodes interesting, I'd strongly suggest watching more episodes on your own time, because the entire series really is just like a gold mine of content. Anyway, Paula Abdul scores this one a solid Billy, Mandy, and the fucking Grim Reaper out of 5. And yeah, thanks for watching.
Where were we?